The footage spread through the galactic network like wildfire. Within 24 hours, every spacefaring species had seen it. A human, small and unarmored, sitting calmly while a Kravashi cub bit into his shoulder. The question he asked, "Are you done?" And then the impossible sight of the predator lying down like a domesticated pet. Jiho woke on his second day of recovery to find his room surrounded by guards, not for his protection, but to keep out the hundreds of researchers, journalists, and officials who wanted to speak with him. Through the window, he could see ships arriving at the station. The quiet outpost had become the most important place in the galaxy overnight. "You're famous," Nari said, sitting beside his bed. She looked tired. "Everyone wants to know how you did it." "I didn't do anything special," Jiho protested. His shoulder ached under the bandages. "I just sat there. That's what makes it special." She pulled up a data pad and showed him the news feeds. Headlines in dozens of alien languages, all saying variations of the same thing: human tames death world predator. Soft species shows unexpected strength. The Kravashi whisperer. "They're calling you a whisperer now," Nari said with a small smile, like those old human stories about horse whisperers and dog trainers. Before Jiho could respond, the door opened. Dr. Quilnax floated in, her colors bright with excitement. Behind her came two humans Jiho had never met. The man was tall and formal in an ambassador's suit. The woman wore casual clothes but carried herself with the confidence of someone used to being in charge. "Jiho, these are Taehyun and Sujin," Dr. Quilnax said. "Ambassador Taehyun represents humanity in the Galactic Council. Dr. Sujin is a xenopsychologist from Earth's Central Science Institute." Taehyun bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. "It's an honor to meet you, Jiho. What you did down there has caused quite a stir in political circles." "I just helped a scared animal," Jiho said. "You did much more than that," Sujin said. She pulled up a chair and sat down, her eyes sharp with intelligence. "You've challenged fundamental assumptions about human capabilities. The Council is demanding an explanation. They want to know what weapon you used, what technology, what trick." "There was no trick." "That's what we told them." "They don't believe us." Taehyun looked frustrated. "They're convinced humans must have some hidden advantage. Some secret." Dr. Quilnax's color shifted to a thoughtful blue. "So I conducted a study. With Jiho's permission, I've analyzed the footage and his medical data. I've also compiled research on human evolution and behavior. The results are fascinating." She brought up a holographic display showing various graphs and charts. Humans evolved on a Class 4 death world. Earth is more dangerous than 80% of known inhabited planets. Your species faced predators, diseases, extreme weather, and countless other threats. To survive, you developed several unique traits. The first chart showed pain tolerance levels. Human ratings were far higher than most species in the galaxy. Humans can endure extreme pain and remain functional. Your nervous system has multiple ways to manage pain: suppress it, compartmentalize it. Other species would go into shock from injuries that humans consider minor. But that alone doesn't explain what happened, Sujin added. "I've been studying the footage frame by frame. Jiho, you weren't just tolerating pain. You were communicating." She zoomed in on Jiho's face during the bite. "Look at your expression. Your breathing. Your posture. Everything about you said, 'I am not a threat.' You were using body language that transcends species." "Humans are remarkable pattern recognizers," Dr. Quilnax continued. "You can read emotions and intentions across wildly different species. You see a scared animal where others see only a predator. This empathy, combined with your pain tolerance, creates something unique." Another chart appeared showing human domestication history. Humans are the only known species to have domesticated predators. You turned wolves into dogs. You befriended cats. You formed bonds with everything from horses to birds to even reptiles. You have a cultural memory of how to approach dangerous animals. Taehyun leaned forward. "The Council wants to know if this is a skill all humans have." "Not all," Sujin said. "Jiho has spent his life studying animal behavior. He has training and experience. But the base capacity is there in most humans. The willingness to endure, to be patient, to try empathy before violence. These are human traits." Grillock appeared in the doorway then, his arm still in a regeneration cast. The proud Vexorian security officer looked humbled. "May I enter?" "Of course," Jiho said. Grillock moved to the bed, his scales clicking softly. "I came to apologize. I called you weak. I said you had no chance. I was wrong." "You did what you were trained to do," Jiho said. "You're not weak either. That cub was just scared, and scared animals react badly to aggression. I've been thinking about that. Grillock's voice was quiet. I approached the cub as a warrior. You approached it as a friend. In my culture, strength is measured in armor and weapons, but you showed a different kind of strength. It's not better or worse, Jiho said. Just different. No. Grillock shook his head. It's better, because the cub is alive. The miners are alive. You're alive. My way would have ended in death. Your way ended in life. He bowed deeply, a gesture of respect in Vexorian culture. Thank you for teaching me this lesson. After Grillock left, Commander Vexil appeared on the comm screen. His mandibles were moving, and what Jiho had learned was the insectoid equivalent of a smile. Jiho, the Galactic Council has made a decision. They want to establish a new protocol based on your methods. They're calling it the human contact methodology. What does that mean? Jiho asked. It means they want humans to be the first contact specialists for aggressive xenofauna across the galaxy. Your species has a skill set that no one else possesses. The ability to communicate with and calm dangerous creatures without violence. Jiho felt overwhelmed. I'm just one person. I don't know if I can— You won't be alone, Taehyun interrupted. Earth is already recruiting volunteers. Xenobiologists, animal trainers, wildlife experts. People with your skills and knowledge. We're building a program. The Council is offering full funding and support, Vexil continued. They want to open Kravos Prime for supervised research. They want humans to lead the effort to establish peaceful protocols with the Kravashi and dozens of other dangerous species. Sujin smiled. You've given humanity a new role in the galaxy, Jiho. Not as warriors or traders or explorers, but as bridge builders, as the ones who can stand between fear and understanding. Jiho looked down at his bandaged shoulder. The wound still hurt, but it was healing. In a few weeks it would be just a scar, a reminder of the day everything changed. There's one condition, Jiho said finally. If we do this, it has to be about understanding, not control. We're not there to dominate these creatures or exploit them. We're there to learn from them and help others do the same. Agreed, Taehyun said immediately. That's already written into the proposal. Then yes, I'll help. The room erupted in smiles and relieved sighs. Dr. Quilnax's colors flashed bright yellow with joy. Nari squeezed his good hand. Commander Vexil's mandibles clicked in approval. When can you start? Vexil asked, after I heal, and after I go back down to Kravos Prime one more time. Everyone looked at him in surprise. Why? Nari asked. Jiho smiled. To check on my friend. Make sure it found its way home okay. Make sure it remembers me. It will remember, Dr. Quilnax said with certainty. Species with that level of intelligence don't forget, especially not acts of kindness. 6 days later, Jiho stood at the edge of the purple forest, his arm in a support sling. Nari stood beside him, weapon ready but not drawn. A small team of researchers waited behind them, cameras recording everything. Jiho cupped his good hand around his mouth and made a sound. Not quite a call, not quite a whistle, just a sound. He waited. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then from deep in the forest came an answering sound, high-pitched, familiar. The cub emerged from the trees, bigger already, its armor plates gleaming in the red sunlight. It saw Jiho and its whole body language changed. The tail lifted. The ears perked forward. It bounded toward him like a puppy seeing its owner. Careful, Nari warned. But Jiho stepped forward with confidence. The cub reached him and stopped, lowering its head. Jiho placed his hand on its snout right between its eyes, and the cub made a sound like a purr. Hey there, Jiho said softly. You look good, healthy, happy. The researchers behind them were going crazy, frantically taking notes and recordings. This was unprecedented, impossible, beautiful. The cub stayed with Jiho for 10 minutes, letting him touch its armor, check its paws, look at its teeth. It was completely calm, completely trusting. Finally, another call came from the forest, deeper, the parent. Go on, Jiho said. Your mom's calling. The cub looked back at the forest, then at Jiho. It made that gentle headbutt gesture again, pressing its forehead to his chest. Then it turned and ran back into the trees. Jiho watched it go, a smile on his face. Ready to teach the galaxy a new way? Nari asked. Jiho nodded. Ready, and so it began. The door to the storage bay opened and Nari rushed in, a medical kit in her hands. Behind her came Yuna, the medical officer from the station who had taken the emergency shuttle down. They both stopped when they saw the scene. Jiho sat on the floor, blood pooling around him. The Kravashi cub lay a few feet away, its massive head on its paws, watching everything with curious amber eyes. When Nari and Yuna entered, the cub raised its head and growled low in its throat. "It's okay," Jiho said quickly, though his voice was weak. "They're here to help." "It's okay." The cub looked at Jiho, then back at the women. It didn't move from its position, but the growling stopped. Yuna approached slowly, her movements careful and controlled. "Jiho, I need to treat that wound. You've lost a lot of blood." "I know, just be slow. Don't make sudden moves." He kept his eyes on the cub. "Talk to it. Let it know you're not a threat." "Talk to it," Yuna repeated, her voice showing her doubt. But she did it anyway. "Hey there, big one. I'm Yuna. I'm just going to help my friend here. Is that okay with you?" The cub tilted its head, listening. It made a soft sound, not quite a growl, more like a question. "I think that's a yes," Jiho said. He tried to smile, but the pain was getting worse. His shoulder felt like it was on fire. Yuna knelt beside him and opened her kit. She worked quickly, her hand steady despite the fear Jiho could see in her eyes. She cleaned the wound first, and Jiho had to bite down hard to keep from crying out. The cub shifted, concerned, but Jiho raised his good hand. "I'm okay," he told the cub. "She's helping." Making it better. The bleeding was worse than Yuna had expected. The crystalline teeth had cut deep, severing muscle and scraping bone. "You're lucky it didn't hit the artery," she said as she worked. "Another inch to the left and you'd be dead in minutes." "Luck," Jiho said through gritted teeth. "Sure, let's call it that." Nari crouched on his other side, holding his hand. Her grip was tight, almost painful, but he didn't complain. "You're an idiot," she said, and her voice shook. "A complete idiot." "Probably," Jiho agreed. Yuna injected him with something that made the pain fade to a dull throb. She sealed the wound with biofoam and wrapped it in synthetic bandages. The whole time the cub watched, its eyes following every movement. "There," Yuna said finally. "That will hold, but you need proper treatment back on the station. The wound is deep and there's risk of infection, especially from alien bacteria." "Later," Jiho said. He tried to stand and almost fell. Nari caught him, supporting his weight. "Jiho, you need to rest." "Later," he repeated. "First we help it get out." He looked at the cub and extended his good hand. "Come on, let's go find your mom." The cub stood slowly. It was massive on all four legs, towering over the humans. For a moment, Jiho wondered if he'd made a terrible mistake. Then the cub stepped forward and gently nudged his hand with its nose. The three humans moved toward the exit slowly. The cub followed, staying close to Jiho. When they reached the door, it hesitated. The corridor beyond was narrow and dark. The cub made that calling sound again, the high-pitched cry that didn't match its size. "I know," Jiho said. "It's scary, but your mom is outside. We just have to get through this corridor and you'll be back in the forest." He started walking, one hand on the wall for support, the other hanging useless at his side. The cub watched him for a moment, then followed. Its claws clicked on the metal floor. Its breathing was loud in the enclosed space. They passed Grillock, who was being treated by another medic in the corridor. The Vexorian security officer stared as the cub walked past him, docile as a pet. "Impossible," he whispered. In another section, the trapped miners watched through windows as the massive predator moved through the base. Children pressed their faces to the glass. Adults held their breath. Everyone was silent, afraid that any noise might break whatever spell the human had cast. The exit was ahead. Through the broken doors, Jiho could see the purple forest and the red sky. Freedom. The cub saw it too and picked up its pace, eager to be out of this strange place. They stepped out into the alien air. The cub immediately lifted its head and called out, louder this time. From somewhere deep in the forest came an answering call, deeper, more powerful. "The parent, go on," Jiho said. He was swaying on his feet now, the medication wearing off. "Go home?" The cub looked at him. Then it did something that made everyone watching gasp. It lowered its head and very gently pressed it against Jiho's chest. Not hard, not aggressive. Just a touch. "A gesture. You're welcome," Jiho said softly. He placed his good hand on the cub's head between its ears. The armor plates felt smooth and cool under his palm. "Stay safe. Grow big and strong." The cub pulled away and bounded toward the forest. It moved with pure joy now, all fear gone. At the tree line, it stopped and looked back one last time. Jiho raised his hand in farewell. The cub made a sound, something between a bark and a roar, then disappeared into the purple shadows. The moment it was gone, Jiho's legs gave out. Nari caught him before he hit the ground. Got you, she said. I got you. Yuna was already calling for the shuttle. Hyun, bring it here now. We need immediate evacuation. Everything went fuzzy after that. Jiho remembered being carried into the shuttle. Remembered lying on a medical bed while Yuna worked over him. Remembered Nari holding his hand and telling him to stay awake. But what he remembered most clearly was Commander Vexel's face on the comm screen. The insectoid commander stared at Jiho with all his eyes, his mandibles moving but no sound coming out at first. Finally he spoke. How did you know it wouldn't kill you? Jiho's answer came slowly, his words slurred from the medication. I didn't know. But I've been bitten before. Everything that bites has to stop biting eventually. You just have to wait them out. But the pain, Vexel said. Your species has no natural armor. No enhanced healing. How did you tolerate that level of pain? Humans are good at pain, Jiho said. His eyes were closing. Earth taught us that. Fall down, get hurt, keep going. It's what we do. The last thing he heard before unconsciousness took him was Dr. Quilnax's voice filled with wonder. I need to study this. The pain tolerance, the empathy, the ability to communicate across species barriers. Humans are remarkable. They are indeed, Commander Vexel agreed. I apologize for doubting you, Jiho. You have taught me something important today. But Jiho didn't hear the apology. He was already asleep, dreaming of purple forests and amber eyes, of trust given and returned, of a scared animal finding its way home. When he woke up 3 hours later in the medical bay of Outpost Kepler 9, the first thing he saw was Nari's face. She was crying. You're an idiot, she said again, but she was smiling. A brave, stupid, incredible idiot. Did everyone get out? Jiho asked. The miners? All 12. Safe and sound. They're being processed for illegal mining, but they're alive thanks to you. Good. He closed his eyes again. That's good. On the other side of the med bay, through a window, he could see other crew members gathered around screens. They were watching something, pointing and talking excitedly. It took Jiho a moment to realize they were watching footage of him in the storage bay. The bite, the question, the cub lying down, the footage that would change everything. The mining base looked small against the vast purple forest. Hyun brought the shuttle down carefully, landing on a cleared area about 50 meters from the main structure. Through the viewport, Jiho could see the damage. Deep claw marks scored the outer walls. One door hung twisted on broken hinges. Life signs confirmed, Hyun said, checking his sensors. 12 humans inside, scattered across 3 locations. And one large heat signature in the central storage bay. The cub, Jiho said. That's a cub. Hyun's voice cracked. It's reading as big as a ground vehicle. Grillick stood and checked his weapon. Stay in the shuttle, pilot. Maintain communication and be ready for emergency extraction. He looked at Nari and Jiho. Follow my lead. Stay behind me. If I give an order, you follow it immediately. They exited the shuttle into the alien air. Kravos Prime's atmosphere was breathable but thick, heavy with moisture. Strange sounds came from the forest. Calls and cries from creatures Jiho couldn't identify. The purple trees swayed in a wind that smelled like copper and soil. The mining base was quiet as they approached. Too quiet. Grillock moved forward with his weapon raised. Nari followed, her hand on her own weapon. Jiho came last, his scanner active, reading heat signatures and movement patterns. The entrance doors were torn open. Inside, the corridors were dark except for emergency lighting. Red lights blinked slowly, casting long shadows. Grillock activated his helmet light and stepped inside. This is Security Officer Grillock from Outpost Kepler 9, he announced on the general frequency. If you can hear me, respond. A weak voice came through the comm. Storage Bay 3. 6 of us here trapped, please hurry. It's right outside our door. We're coming, Grillock said. Hold position. They moved through the corridors carefully. Jiho saw signs of panic everywhere. Equipment scattered on the floor. Food abandoned mid-meal. A child's toy dropped near a doorway. These weren't hardened criminals. They were probably just poor people trying to make money the only way they could. A sound echoed through the corridor. A deep rumbling growl that made the walls vibrate. Nari's hand tightened on her weapon. Grillock stopped and checked his scanner. It's in the next section. The central storage bay. His voice was steady, confident. I'll approach and use the neural disruptor. Once it's stunned, we can tranquilize it and move it outside. Wait, Jiho said. The neural disruptor might not work. The Kravashi nervous system is different from most species. The previous expedition tried that and it failed. Previous expedition used old equipment. Mine is upgraded. Grillock looked at Jiho. Trust me, human. I've handled dangerous creatures before. Jiho wanted to argue, but Nari touched his arm. Let him try, she said quietly. He's trained for this. They reached the storage bay doors. Through the small window, Jiho could see the cub. It was huge even for a young one. Its body was covered in thick armor plates that looked like dark crystal. Its paws were massive, each claw as long as Jiho's hand. When it moved, muscles rippled under its hide. But what caught Jiho's attention was its behavior. The cub wasn't hunting. It paced back and forth, its tail low. Its ears kept flicking. Every few seconds it would stop and call out, a high-pitched sound that didn't match its size. It was calling for its mother. It's scared, Jiho said. It's dangerous, Grillock corrected. He activated his neural disruptor, the device humming to life. Stay back, both of you. The Vixorian security officer opened the door and stepped into the storage bay. His armor was impressive, military-grade plating that could stop most weapons. He looked invincible. Easy now, Grillock said, raising the neural disruptor. This will only hurt for a moment. The cub saw him and froze. For a second, nothing happened. Then it lowered its head and snarled. The sound was terrifying, deep and primal. Every instinct in Jiho's body screamed at him to run. Grillock fired the neural disruptor. The invisible wave hit the cub square in the chest. The creature should have collapsed, its nervous system temporarily overloaded. That's what the disruptor was designed to do. Instead, the cub shook its head as if annoyed by a fly. Then it charged. No, Jiho breathed. What happened next took 3 seconds. 3 seconds that would change everything. The cub moved with impossible speed, covering the distance between itself and Grillock in a heartbeat. Grillock raised his armored arm to defend himself. The cub's jaws closed around it. The sound of tearing metal filled the bay. The cub's crystalline teeth, designed to crack through the hardest minerals on this death world, ripped through military-grade armor like it was cloth. Grillock screamed. The cub released him and he stumbled backward, his arm mangled, blood pouring from the wounds. Nari rushed forward and grabbed Grillock, pulling him toward the door. The cub could have attacked again, but it didn't. It backed away, pressing itself against the far wall, shaking. Blood dripped from its mouth. It was making that calling sound again, louder now, more desperate. They got Grillock out and sealed the door. In the corridor, Nari worked on his wounds while he gasped in pain. Impossible, he kept saying. My armor. The disruptor. Nothing worked. Jiho pressed his face against the window, watching the cub. It wasn't acting like a predator. It was acting like every scared animal he'd ever seen. Trapped, confused, missing its family. Jiho, Nari said sharply. We need to get Grillock back to the shuttle. He needs medical attention now. What about the miners? Jiho asked. I'll call for the military team. They'll have better equipment. In 18 hours. The cub's mother will come looking for it before then. When a parent Kravashi shows up, everyone in this base dies. Jiho looked at his friend. There's another way. Nari stared at him. No, whatever you're thinking, no. I have to try. Jiho, that thing just tore through Grillock's armor in seconds. You don't even have armor. It will kill you. Maybe. But I don't think it wants to kill anyone. Look at it, he gestured to the window. It's terrified. Grillock grabbed Jiho's arm with his good hand. Human, listen to me. I am stronger than you. My armor is better than anything you have. That creature destroyed me in seconds. You cannot win against it. I'm not trying to win, Jiho said. I'm trying to help it. He pulled away from Grillock's grip and opened his equipment pack. He removed the small weapon Nari had given him. Then he took off his protective vest. He stood there in just his basic uniform, the thin fabric that wouldn't stop a knife, let alone crystalline teeth. Jiho, please. Nari's voice broke. Don't do this. He looked at his oldest friend, the person who had always protected him. You know me, Nari. You know I have to try. She closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were wet. If you die, I'm going to kill you, he smiled. Deal. Jiho turned to the storage bay door. His hands shook as he placed them on the control panel. Fear ran through his veins like ice water. Every logical part of his brain screamed that this was suicide. But deeper than logic, deeper than fear, was something else. A feeling he'd had since he was a child. Since the first time he'd sat beside a scared dog and waited for it to trust him. Some things were worth the risk. He opened the door and stepped inside alone. The door closed behind Jiho with a soft hiss. The storage bay felt enormous now that he stood inside it. Boxes and containers lined the walls, stacked high. Emergency lights cast everything in shades of red and shadow. And in the far corner, the Cravashi cub watched him with eyes that glowed like amber in the darkness. Up close, the creature was even more terrifying. It stood taller than Jiho, even on all four legs. Its armor plates caught the light, each one looking like dark glass. The claws on its feet left deep scratches in the metal floor. Blood still stained its mouth from where it had bitten Grillick. Jiho's heart hammered in his chest. Every cell in his body begged him to run. This was a predator from a world more dangerous than Earth. Its kind had killed trained soldiers. Just minutes ago, it had torn through advanced armor like paper. But Jiho had learned long ago that fear was just information. It told you there was danger. It didn't tell you what to do about the danger. That part was choice. He took a slow breath and looked at the cub properly. Not as a monster, not as a threat, but as an animal. And what he saw changed everything. The cub's tail was tucked low, almost between its legs. Its ears were flat against its head. Its body was pressed against the wall, trying to make itself smaller. These were universal signs among predators, not aggression, fear. The cub was scared. "Hey there," Jiho said softly. His voice sounded loud in the quiet bay. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." The cub's head snapped toward him. It snarled, showing those massive crystalline teeth. Jiho felt his stomach twist, but he didn't move. "Didn't flinch, I know. I'm scary. You don't know me. Everything here is wrong and strange, and you just want to go home." He moved slowly, carefully, and then did something that made Nari gasp over the comm system. He sat down. Right there on the floor, 15 feet from the Cravashi cub. He crossed his legs and placed his hands in his lap, palms up. "I'm going to sit here," Jiho continued in that same soft voice. "I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to chase you. I just want to help you find your way out." The cub stared at him. Jiho could see its confusion. Everything that had entered this room had either run away or attacked. This small creature did neither. It just sat there calm and still. Minutes passed. Jiho kept talking, his voice low and steady. He told the cub about Earth, about the dogs and cats humans had befriended thousands of years ago, about the injured fox he found when he was 10, and how he'd sat with it just like this until it trusted him enough to let him help. "Jiho," Nari's voice came through his comm. "Your vitals are showing high stress. Maybe you should—" "I'm fine," Jiho said quietly. "Just scared. But that's okay. Being scared is okay." The cub took a step forward. Then another. It was moving toward him now, slow and cautious. Jiho's blood turned to ice in his veins. This was it. The moment when everything would either work or end very badly. "That's right," Jiho kept his voice steady even though his hands shook. "Come see. I'm not dangerous. Just small and soft and—" The cub charged. It happened so fast that Jiho barely had time to process it. One moment the cub was 10 feet away. The next it was right in front of him. Its jaws opened wide. Those crystalline teeth, each one a deadly blade, came straight for him. Time seemed to slow down. Jiho saw Grillock's mangled armor in his mind. He heard Nari scream his name through the comm. He felt his body start to move, to flinch away, but he forced himself to stay still, forced himself to not fight back. Because he understood something the others didn't. The cub wasn't trying to kill him. It was testing him. The jaws closed on his shoulder. Pain exploded through Jiho's body like lightning. The teeth, designed to crack through stone and crystal, sank into his flesh. He felt them hit bone. Blood poured hot and fast down his chest. The pain was unimaginable. Worse than anything he'd ever felt. His vision went white at the edges. His body screamed at him to fight, to push the creature away, to do anything to make it stop. But Jiho had grown up on Earth, a world that had taught humans to endure. He'd broken bones falling from trees. He'd been burned by fire. He'd survived infections and fevers that should have killed him. Pain was an old companion. He clenched his jaw and took the bite. His free hand gripped the floor so hard his fingernails cracked. Sweat poured down his face. But he didn't scream. He didn't fight back. He just breathed through it, slow and steady, the way he'd learned in meditation classes back home. The cub held him there for what felt like forever. Jiho could feel its hot breath on his neck, could smell the blood and fear on it, and then slowly the cub's jaws relaxed. Just a little. The pressure eased. The creature pulled back slightly, its teeth still touching Jiho's shoulder but not biting down anymore. It looked at him with those amber eyes, confused. Every prey animal it had ever caught fought back or ran. This one did neither. Jiho opened his eyes and looked directly at the cub. Blood ran down his arm and dripped onto the floor. The pain was still there, sharp and burning. But his voice when he spoke was steady. "Are you done?" The words hung in the air between them. The cub stared at him. Jiho stared back. Not aggressive. Not challenging. Just asking a simple question. The cub released him completely. It stepped back, tilting its head. Jiho remained sitting, though everything in his body wanted to run. Blood soaked through his uniform. He could feel his heart racing, pumping more blood out of the wound. He probably only had a few minutes before shock set in. But those few minutes were everything. He raised his good hand slowly. So slowly. Palm up, non-threatening, submissive. "It's okay," he said. "You're okay. I'm okay. We're both going to be okay." The cub watched his hand. It took a step closer and sniffed. Its nose was cold against Jiho's palm. He felt the air from its nostrils. One wrong move and those jaws could close on his hand, take his fingers clean off. "That's it," Jiho said. "See? I'm not here to hurt you. You're just scared. You want your mom." "I understand. I'd want my mom too if I was lost in a strange place." The cub sniffed his hand for a long moment. Then something incredible happened. Something that would be talked about across the galaxy for years to come. The cub sat down. Just sat. Like a dog waiting for its owner. Its tail moved slightly. Not wagging, not yet, but not tucked in fear either. "Oh my God." Nari's voice was barely a whisper over the comm. "Jiho, how did you—" "Jiho," Commander Vexel's voice cut in from the station. "Your vital signs are critical. You need medical attention immediately." "Not yet," Jiho said. He was feeling lightheaded now. The blood loss was getting serious. "Not until I help it outside." "You've done enough," Vexel said. "Let us handle the rest." "No." Jiho kept his eyes on the cub. "We're not done yet." The cub lowered its head to its paws, still watching Jiho, and in that moment, looking at this massive predator lying there like a puppy waiting for direction, Jiho smiled through his pain. "Good," he said. "Very good. Now let's get you home." The stars looked different from Outpost Kepler 9. They hung in the darkness like scattered diamonds, cold and distant. Jiho stood by the observation window, his reflection staring back at him against the endless void. Behind him, the research station hummed with activity. Alien voices mixed with computer sounds and the steady pulse of life support systems. He pressed his hand against the glass and looked down at the planet below. Kravos Prime turned slowly beneath the station, its surface covered in purple forests and red mountains. It looked beautiful from up here, peaceful even, but Jiho knew better. That planet was a death world, filled with creatures that could tear through metal and stone like paper. Still staring at that monster planet? A familiar voice came from behind him. Jiho turned to see Nari walking toward him, her security uniform crisp and clean. She carried 2 cups of coffee, the real kind from Earth, not the synthetic stuff the other species drank. "Just thinking," Jiho said, taking the cup she offered. The warmth felt good in his hands. Nari stood beside him and looked down at the planet. "About the Kravashi?" "Yeah, the new footage came in this morning. A family group, hunting near the Northern Valley. Dr. Quilnax showed me. Those things are massive." Nari shook her head. "And the cubs are already bigger than I am." Jiho smiled a little. "The cubs are the interesting ones. They play, did you see that? They were wrestling with each other just like wolf pups back home. Wolf pups don't have teeth that can cut through Durasteel." "No, but the behavior is the same." Commander Vexel entered the observation deck, his tall insectoid body clicking as he moved. His multiple eyes focused on the 2 humans. "Jiho, Nari, the morning briefing begins in 10 minutes. Please be on time." "Yes, sir," they both said. Vexel stared at them for a moment longer, his mandibles twitching. Then he left without another word. Nari waited until he was gone. "He doesn't like us much, does he?" "He doesn't understand us," Jiho corrected. "To him we're soft, weak. We don't have armor or natural weapons. He can't figure out how we made it to space. Well, we're here anyway." Nari finished her coffee. "Come on, let's not be late." The briefing room was full when they arrived. Dr. Quilnax floated in her containment suit, her gelatinous body shifting colors as she thought. Grillock, the Vexorian security officer, stood near the wall, his scales gleaming under the lights. Several other alien crew members filled the other seats. Jiho and Nari took their places at the back. Commander Vexil brought up a holographic display of Kravos Prime. "We have a situation," he began. "At 0400 hours, we received a distress signal from the planet's surface. An illegal mining operation has been established in Sector 7. Murmurs went through the room. Mining on Kravos Prime was forbidden by Galactic Council law. The planet was too dangerous. There's more," Vexil continued. "A Kravashi cub has entered their base. 12 miners are trapped inside. The cub cannot find its way out and is becoming increasingly aggressive. Dr. Quilnax's colors shifted to a dark purple, the morphine equivalent of worry. How did a cub get inside their base? Unknown. Possibly they were feeding it, trying to tame it. The reports are unclear." Vexil's mandibles clicked in annoyance. "The Council is sending a military team, but they won't arrive for 18 hours. By then, everyone inside will likely be dead, so we just wait." Nari stood up. "Sir, those are people down there. Doesn't matter if they were breaking the law. We can't leave them to die. What do you suggest, Security Officer Nari? That we mount a rescue?" Vexil's tone was sharp. "A Kravashi cub killed 15 trained soldiers in the last expedition. What do you think our small team can do?" "We're closer. We have the equipment, and we have expertise." Nari gestured to Jiho. "Jiho has studied these creatures for 6 months. He knows more about them than anyone." All eyes turned to Jiho. He felt his heart beat faster but kept his voice steady. "Commander, the cub is trapped and scared. That makes it more dangerous. But if we understand its behavior, we might be able to help it leave without killing anyone." Grillock laughed, a harsh hissing sound. "You think you can reason with a predator that rips through armor? Human, you have no natural defenses. That creature would kill you in seconds." "Maybe," Jiho said quietly. "But doing nothing means 12 people definitely die." The room fell silent. Commander Vexil's eyes studied Jiho for a long moment. Finally he spoke. "I will authorize a limited rescue mission. Grillock, you will lead. Take Nari and Jiho with you. Hyun will pilot the shuttle. You have 1 hour to prepare." As the briefing ended and everyone moved to their stations, Dr. Quilnax floated over to Jiho. Her voice came through her suit's speaker, gentle and concerned. "Jiho, please be careful. I have seen the footage of what these creatures can do. Your species has so many wonderful qualities, but your bodies are fragile. I know, Doctor, but we're also pretty good at surviving." He smiled at her. "That's what humans do best." 1 hour later, Jiho stood in the shuttle bay checking his equipment. The suit he wore wasn't armor, just a standard field uniform with basic protection. Nari stood beside him, her weapon secured at her hip. She looked at him with worry in her eyes. "You don't have to do this," she said quietly. "Let Grillock handle it. Grillock is a soldier. He'll see a threat and eliminate it. But that cub doesn't need to die. It's just scared." Jiho secured his equipment pack. "I'll be fine. Promise me you'll be careful, I promise." Hyun called from the pilot seat. "Everyone ready? We're launching in 60 seconds." Grillock stomped into the shuttle wearing full combat armor. The plating was thick and reinforced, designed to withstand extreme impacts. He looked at Jiho's simple uniform and shook his head. "If you die down there, human, it's not my fault." "Noted," Jiho said. The shuttle lifted off and dropped through the station's launch bay. Through the viewport, Kravos Prime grew larger and larger. The purple forest looked darker now, more threatening. Somewhere down there, a scared cub waited and 12 people prayed for rescue. Jiho closed his eyes and thought about home, about the stray dogs he used to help as a kid, about the injured fox he once sat with for hours until it trusted him enough to let him help, about every scared animal he'd ever calmed with nothing but patience and a gentle voice. "Entering atmosphere," Hyun announced. The shuttle shook as they descended. Nari reached over and squeezed Jiho's hand. He squeezed back. They were going in.